Hey guys, welcome to Approach the Nerd. It is your girl Maria Park, and I'm here with my boy Joe from Joe's Geek Show. Please go to his channel to like and subscribe and do all the things. And of course, he has comic book content. He has really funny shorts. He does movie and TV reviews, so you will love his channel. And we're trying to get him to 1K. So it is the Joe's Geek Show sprint to 1K. So let's make sure we sprint there and help him out. All right, so we are here to talk about Moon Knight. Season 1, Episode 3. So Joe's going to do his recap, and then we're going to talk about what happened and what we liked and what we did not like, or what we think they should have done better in this episode. So take it away, Joe.
Absolutely. So here we have Moon Knight Episode 3, which takes us all the way to Egypt because, Khonshu's got them teleportation powers and put Mark there because, they got to find the Tomb of Ammit before Arthur Harrow does. Otherwise, the world is just completely screwed. And in the interim, because they don't have, the scarab that tells them where to go, Mark's kind of got to do some investigative journalism, I guess you could say. And when I mean that, I mean he's going to chase people down and beat the ever-living crap out of people, at least until, his other personality, decides to come in and it's kind of like, Mark, you can't do that. Don't kill people, please. Don't hurt anybody. And then it blacks out, wakes up. He's on his way to the airport, blacks out again, wakes up, and suddenly a lot of people are dead. And, but this is an interesting point. Mark didn't do that last bit. We know his other personality did not do that. So did we just get introduced to a third personality, i.e. Jake Lockley? Oh, they did the thing. They did the thing, Maria. It's the thing that they did.
Yep. He's not just a cab driver anymore.
He's not just a cab driver. Now he might even be more dangerous than Mark Spector. So, I'm just wondering how long they're going to go before they actually address that little plot point in detail. And of course, some other stuff happens. Eventually, Layla finds him again, and she's all like, yeah, no, I could totally help you out, and all this other stuff. Oh, yeah, and also just prior to that, though, was Khonshu deciding that he's going to go before, all of the other gods and whatnot in an attempt to say, hey, Arthur Harrow is doing some real messed up stuff. He's going to release Ammit and whatnot. And at that point, we see Khonshu, how he summons the gods and whatnot by effectively just doing some weird stuff. Like in this case, blotting out the sun, which makes the gods go, hey, we don't like that. So the tribunal commences and stuff like that. And Khonshu, through, Mark, speaks his case. They bring in Arthur, and they're just like, Arthur Harrow, are you going to release Ammit? And he's like, no, I'm not going to do any of that. Just, I'm kind of, I'm innocent, I swear. And, of course, the head dude of the tribunal area is like, all right, we believe you. Khonshu, you call us one more time or you do anything weird, we're going to turn you to stone. All right, everyone commence with your day. So then, of course, that's when Layla comes in and she's all like, yeah, totally. We got this. I know a guy who knows a guy, and we can find some stuff. So they end up meeting with some other people. And then there's this golden tomb and they get some cloth off of it, but not before a really lengthy action sequence, which is always nice because, we're not getting a lot of Moon Knight in the show. They're kind of treating him like the Incredible Hulk in the old Bill Bixby show where you get just a little bit of them, from time to time. And so, after that whole thing happens and they get all these cloths off this tomb and stuff, then they put the cloths together and they're like, it's a map to Ammit's tomb. The only problem is Layla can't use all of her tech to pinpoint exactly the direction and stuff because, the stars are completely different than they were thousands of years ago. So Khonshu's like, all right, here's what we're going to do. And then he just does the trippiest thing, just turning the sky back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And of course, this also again catches the attention of the other gods. And so while Khonshu is doing that, they're turning his ass to stone. So by the end of the entire sequence, Khonshu is now a tiny little stone statue, which means, Mark is powerless and such. And yeah, it's essentially the summation of the entirety of episode 3, quick and dirty, the way I like it.
We're gonna leave that alone completely. It wasn't a bad episode. I will say though, I'm very disappointed once again in how certain characters from Marvel are treated when they do live action TV shows or movies. In this case, we have, Anton Mogart, who a lot of people know is the Midnight Man in the comics. The whole showdown between him and Mark, or Moon Knight, was very lackluster for me. Like, Anton really didn't do much. And so it's like he was running, for most of it, he was running. And then he was like doing dirty stuff. And then he got on a horse and it was going to charge him. And I'm like, this is not what Midnight Man does. So I'm Midnight's his son. So I don't know. I was in my feelings about it because it's just, for some reason, and I see this in the Arrowverse too, I'm not going to lie to you, they take very strong villains or very strong characters and they dumb them down. And I do not understand it. And it's just something that, for me personally, is just irritating. So that's my thing.
That's the Arrowverse. The reason why they dumb down the villains is because they dumb down the heroes,
Well, yeah. Well, they have the villain redemption program with Arrowverse, but you're only a villain for like this long. But I feel like MCU, for some reason, I don't know what it is. It's like they get these characters and it's like, yeah, we know you're just really effing cool in the comics, but we're going to modernize you and humanize you and make you more relatable. And I'm like, I don't need it to be relatable. I mean, you already got this guy who has, dissociative, identity disorder, running around splitting, personalities jumping all over the place and bodies all over the place. That right there is enough. You don't have to make this person more relatable and make him just look like an art thief when he actually has an entire villainous role, in the comics. And so I don't know. I was in my feelings about it, but it is what it is. And he had a connection to Layla and not to Mark, which I thought was interesting because in the comics, it was actually Moon Knight who stopped him. His first encounter was with Moon Knight, actually. It's just something that I keep seeing across the board in MCU. My biggest example of this is always going to be Hawkeye because there's so many things they did in Hawkeye that's like, wow. But I don't know. It's just something that bothered me. But that's just me because, like you, when you read a lot of comics and you grew up reading a lot of comics, it's not that I'm married to the material. It's just that if you want to do your own thing, don't bring these characters in. Do your own thing. You already invented Layla. We didn't need Anton. I mean, honestly, we could have gotten through this whole damn episode without Anton. Any one of those little lackeys could have done what he did in this episode. So that is just my opinion. But it is what it is. But outside of that, it's fine. I love how easily the gods were fooled. Now, to be fair, Ethan Hawke is doing a great job as hero. He was he's like, oh no, did Khonshu tell you that I was a bad guy? Oh, poor Khonshu, you being dumb again. You look cray. All the fellow gods know you're just special, and now you're picking on me and you torture me. Oh, and by the way, you're also torturing this guy right here too. You're sick, right? I'm like, you're not well. And I'm like, he was like a freaking politician. He was spit in the room, and they're all like, yeah, you know what, you're right. And I'm like,
he's definitely playing it up. But one of the aspects about that scene also where I'm just kind of like, hey, Khonshu, are you gonna mention the fact that he's got the Ankh tattoo on his wrist there, and the god should have immediately recognized that. So
yep,
just saying, there were other avenues to take, for the sake of plot progression, we had to ignore it.
But why? Why do we have to ignore it? That was the whole thing. I didn't understand. You're right. And even with Mark was not putting up much of a fight in terms of, when they were questioning him. He was more like, yeah, I am sick. But that guy's bad. I'm like, what did you think was going to be accomplished in this meeting with these gods? So I don't know. I thought that was really interesting.
The whole sequence itself, and it, honestly, it was definitely my least favorite part of the episode overall, and it really did come across like it was there just to pad out the runtime. They're like, okay, we gotta get to 56 minutes, people. What are we gonna do for about 5-ish minutes?
Yep. And the battle, the scene where Moon Knight is fighting, and I know he kind of went back and forth, and of course, when Steven started saying, "No, don't kill people," why? Why aren't you not learning these people are dangerous? I don't know. I get you don't want to kill. But I mean, technically, you're not the one killing.
No, I will. Yeah, but I will say it was great when he was like, "Don't kill people. Let me take control." As soon as he takes control, he gets stabbed. He's like, Come back.
Take it back.
Think about, kill them all. This hurts.
It's like WWE. It's like somebody gets tagged in and they're like, nope, I changed my mind. Like, but no, I just think it's interesting that like the fight scene itself was, it wasn't bad, but I mean, it could have been so much more. I thought it was going to be like this grand thing, and it really wasn't. So, I mean, yeah, he kicked a lot of people's butts, but I mean, it wasn't like this grand thing. And I don't know.
They definitely presented it like it was supposed to be a bigger set piece than it really was.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. Like I said, it was very lackluster a little bit for me in this episode, which is very interesting for episode 3 of an MCU show, because normally that's when stuff is like really hitting home because you only have 6 episodes. Everything has to pick up now. Of course, they did seal Khonshu in this episode, basically making it so his avatar is depowered. So that's a thing, I guess. So now we have to go through this whole series of, well, how's he going to fight now? He doesn't have, his suit. He doesn't have his healing ability. He doesn't have whatever powers they made up for in the MCU. Like, what do you do now? How are you going to? I don't know.
But what they do have here is a very rare opportunity to give us classic Moon Knight in just a regular suit with no powers, and Mark just having to rely on his own skills in order to get through, the situation until they can free Khonshu. Because I suspect how that's going to work is with only, we're 3 of 6 down, 3 episodes left. I figure, episode 4 is primarily going to be just them trying to unleash Khonshu, and then episode 5 is going to be, I suspect, them trying to stop Amit, which they'll fail. And then episode 6 will be Amit versus Moon Knight and Khonshu. It's where I suspect it's going to go.
Yeah. And I will say some of the most amusing things for me were actually with Harrow, like when they were like at Amit's tomb site and like the people were like digging. And the guy was like, oh yeah, I think we're being followed or something like that. And he's like, meh. And he's just like, well, Khonshu will just do something and then everything will go to shit. Just the way he talks about him is like, and then what happens? Which is really sad. I would love to have some backstory on him and the other gods, because you can tell they very much despise him. But I thought that one particular god, which I knew his name and I don't know his name, was actually in on things with her. It made it seem like he kind of was looking a blind eye.
Suspicion, but they never explicitly say it in the episode, and it's just kind of like, and then when he trails off at the end and walks away from Harrow, that just kind of leads me to sort of believe, like, I don't think he's actually on his side. He's just, he's just fooled by Harrow or something, because I mean, we know that Harrow for a time was Khonshu's avatar, so yeah. He's probably spoken with the council before. They probably have some kind of rapport together, where it's just sort of like, I can't, where it's like maybe they're a little buddy, and he just doesn't. It's more willful ignorance than anything else on the god's part.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see like where they go with that, because again, like I said, MCU does its own thing, just like with the Midnight Man. Like, this is not the Midnight Man that I know, but again, I can't. I mean, it is what it is. But it's just interesting to see where they're going, especially in terms of Khonshu, because obviously Khonshu cannot stay in this state. And there was the female god that was actually helping Mark. She gave him some like insider information, kind of like on the down low when the other gods weren't looking.
Yeah, where they figured out about the whole tomb thing, where she's kind of like, start here. You might find some info. Find that tomb, and you're good to go, guy.
Which is interesting for me, because if you really think about it, like, how do they not know what's happening? I'm like, why are the gods not aware? Like, what do? Inside of this tomb, you're just blind? You have your own avatars running around, right? So, like, how do you not know what is happening? So it's I don't know. That is a thing for me. I'm just kind of
I mean, the gods can do like a lot of things. They apparently remember like all of human history and stuff like that, but I haven't really seen any thing to suggest that they're omniscient and that they can see everything.
So I want to know exactly what it is then. What is it that they do? Because other than meet up and seal Khonshu, like, what are you actually doing? So
I mean, it seems like they did something in Egypt with humans a long time ago, where it's like, yeah, worship us people, and then after a time they're like, yeah, we kind of hate y'all. We're just gonna observe and let you do your own thing,
I mean, that's what I'm getting out of that. I'm getting that they literally, legitly just have meetings. It's almost like watching the Eternals again. It's like you have all of this power, but do you like what do you actually do? So like they just are like, well, we chose not to interfere. I'm like, oh, okay. You're choosing not to interfere with human history, but yet technically you're also turning a blind eye when someone is interfering from your own camp.
Yeah, I mean, the inkling that I got was they were effectively lower level watchers at this point.
Yeah, which I mean,
and even then, it's like they're not really doing too much watching.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a thing. Now let's talk about Layla for a second. So I already told you that Marlene, who was actually Mark's wife and father of his children, or child, he had a daughter with her. She had a father that was an archaeologist who gets killed. Lord. But it's interesting because now we're talking about Layla, and Layla talks about her archaeologist father who was killed. So I'm like, they essentially remade Marlene into Layla, who I think in reality she's Pakistani and Egyptian in real life or something like that. So I guess they were trying to get somebody, they need to get a little bit more, POC-ness in the show, because I guess technically speaking, if you really look at it, there's not a lot. So, but I thought that was really interesting that Marlene was just like, boop. Like they literally could have made this girl Marlene. They could have actually had her be Marlene, but they made a whole brand new character with this, which essentially to me was almost the exact same backstory as Marlene.
I don't know. Maybe when they were scripting the show, they were just kind of like, yeah, we don't like that name.
Is that what it is? They don't like that name?
One of the writers has a daughter named Layla or something. It's like, don't worry, sweetie, daddy's going to put you on a show one day.
So now you're doing some Joe Quesada stuff with, a certain character and a certain Spider-Man storyline that, I hate more than anything. So like that to me is just messed up. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it was really interesting that Marlene became like a non-concept. You just literally recreated this entire character, but it's the same character. It's just very interesting to me. I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, we are seeing the comments in here, guys. Let me scroll up. I see Ray, you have a lot to say tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and pop that up. Okay, I'm strictly a MCU fan on this series, so that's my perspective going forward with this one. Okay. Never read any literature on this obscure character. Moon Knight seems more powerful in MCU than most of his comic versions. The third personality, most likely the cab driver, is the one with the killer instinct, which is interesting because the personalities are kind of swapped in a way. I mean, Mark Spector was the mercenary, and then Joe was the cab driver, and Steven was the billionaire who funded everything. Because yes, Khonshu was the avatar of Khonshu, but he needed money for his tech. And so he had a company called Spectre Corp through, his Steven persona who funded everything. And so we don't have that. No, so far, none of the personalities are rich. So I don't know how, I guess the MCU is kind of like, we need another Spider-Man. We need to have, but no, actually in Spider-Man, they took the concept of Peter Parker in the MCU who was poor and basically made him the heir of Tony Stark's, legacy. So he has all the tech. So
yeah, well, at least until the third film, they definitely pulled some hard stuff out of there. No Way Home for that.
Yeah, they did. But
they brought him back down, which was a nice ending to the series.
Well, only because people don't remember him. But I mean, just think about it. Up to that point, though.
Well, at that point, yeah, he basically had it all.
He had it all. I love the gods communing. I wish we had more of this with the Norse gods. Again, Hela is my favorite from her pantheon. Yeah, I could see like Odin, Loki, all this like just crossing over mythology. So I have Loka, Hera, like Athena, all of them together communing, and they still wouldn't do anything. They're sitting like, we think Khonshu's a dick. Basically. I wasn't impressed with Moon Knight as a fighter from the input money on Ryan Wilder taking him in a fight. From that input, you put money on Ryan Wilder taking him in a fight. I don't know. I think he would beat the shit out of Ryan Wilder. He would beat her.
Gosh, dude's a murder.
He would pick up Luke and beat Ryan to death with Luke.
and are we talking like, I mean,
there's no reality where that would play out.
Superpowers. I'm just, no.
Yeah, that would not work.
I cannot agree with that.
I love how the MCU is color coding the different magic types. Harold is using dark magic primarily, but we know divine magic is a white color. And who made this color system though? That's something I've always thought was interesting. Like, who decided white magic was white? You know what I mean? And then it was white magic, and that's good magic, and then dark magic or black magic is evil. Like, if you really think about that, that goes back to the Lone Ranger days where he wore like the all white suit, and then all the villains had black and with the black hats and stuff. It's really weird.
I don't know. It's kind of the way our society built things. I mean, look at Angel's food cake, Devil's food cake.
Yeah, I always get interested, like when you think about weddings and things, like and funerals, we wear black to a funeral, white to a wedding, but then overseas, people wear red. You can wear red to a funeral. You have white to a funeral. Some Asian countries, white is the funeral garb. So I mean, it's more of an American thing, I guess. It's just very interesting, though.
It's just kind of the way we constructed our society.
Yep. They are butthurt because people stopped workshopping them, and that affected how powerful they are. Who's butthurt? I got a good answer for that. They're just bitter because humans are evolving and we don't need them, so they just decided to be petty and not interfere and willingly ignore human affairs. That's true. That's what it was. It came down to they seemed entitled as hell.
They seemed pretty bitter about the way humans were progressing and in history.
Like, why you dumb?
They're probably just like, y'all getting way too crazy for us and we don't like it.
But then that brings me to my question. Why are you believing Harrow? Because Harrow is a human. Why? I mean, I know he was an avatar, but why are you so keen and quick to believe him? Is your prejudice against Khonshu so strong that you're willing to overlook the fact that this guy's a psychopath? I mean, and trying to revive?
It's a quite possibility. I mean, like I even said before, maybe during the time that Harrow was the avatar of Khonshu, they developed this rapport with them where they're just kind of like, yeah, dude, you're a cool guy. We can't imagine, you going psycho and trying to kill half the world. I mean, but also even in that point too, it almost kind of seems like it was even presented in a manner of, even if Mark and Khonshu had proven that Harrow was going to release Amit and kill half the world, I still get the feeling that at least some of the gods would have been like, I don't know.
We don't care. No, I mean, I get that. They seemed almost bored. That's what it was like. It was like they were like in the room. They were forced to be there. It was literally like the gods were on a Zoom call. It's like another damn Zoom meeting.
Definitely. I mean, outside of the one that talked to Mark, before and after and stuff, the gods primarily seem apathetic at best. It's like they're just very much.
Do we have to deal with this?
I was snowboarding in the Alps before this. What are you doing? Why are we here?
Yeah, which is so interesting to me because like that's not their role, that's not what they're supposed to do. So I don't know. I think that's interesting. Let me see. Who wants a name that sounds like that dog from that Owen Wilson Brothers movie with Jennifer Aniston? What the hell? Ray. Hello, Maria. I hope your Sunday is going well. Just dropped in to say hi and give you a thumbs up. Thank you, D. Marie. Appreciate it. From this fight, I don't see how he found fight vampires, to be honest. I don't want the Dracula storyline with the sons. That was a good storyline, by the way. But that's too in-depth for MCU. But with Blade and Ebony Blade, it's possible. Having Blade come in as a cameo would have been very cool for this series. I would love to have seen that. I mean, we don't know though what they're actually going to put in as an Easter egg because we haven't had our connection yet. We've had name drops, but we haven't had our connections yet. So we don't know until somebody actually does show up.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, they usually wait till like that last episode to give you that little stamp of, we're moving from here to here. So
yep. Kevin Feige, the one above all. Yeah, he wishes he was the one above all. Made the system. That's just in comics and media in general. Angels, white witches, gods always have white or light. Yellow powers versus evil use of dark colors like black or red, which is, again, so sad because these are very powerful colors that have been kind of like, if you really think about it, demonized by society. It's like, because this is dark and this is shadow and this is black. It's bad. And I'm like, not necessarily. I mean, technically.
I mean, you go over to, say video games, for example. Look at some JRPGs. Final Fantasy X, for example, you have black mages and white mages, and black mages are not always bad. You have some in your party because they're just the elemental people, the fire, the water, the lightning, and your white mages are like here, I'm gonna give you haste. I'm gonna give you, some healing ability and blah blah blah. It's kind of like,
I like that. I like that ability.
balanced.
Like when you think about light burns. I'd rather be in the dark sometimes. So I mean, it's just interesting. Our society and the way they color code things is very interesting to me. Is Harold currently an Avatar again?
A vomit.
I mean, yeah.
Mm.
You see
That's all he said. He's like, he's the Avatar vomit. That's what he said, I think, in the first or second episode.
Yeah, but I mean, think about this. Like legit, how we just answered that question with that lackluster, apathetic response is how the gods were in that meeting. I'm like,
yeah, exactly. So,
okay. DC's Lords of Order, like Dr. Fate, use yellow, and the Lords of Chaos are red. You can see this in Young Justice. True, very true. I didn't think about that. I think when such time is understandable to be apathetic about humanity, I'm apathetic, and I only been here a few decades. Humanity is crummy. Not all humanity, but I will say there are humans that I have question marks about. So, especially when I'm driving, I really question a lot of things on the road. I do. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Hey, how a person drives can be very telling about their personality.
Yep. And here in Memphis, you driven through here, Joe. You know what I'm talking about. I don't know what is wrong.
I never want to drive through Tennessee again. I was just trying to get to Pennsylvania. That's all I wanted in life.
Seriously, it's like for some reason it is a challenge. Like, you want to get off the highway? Not today, bitch. That's literally what happens here. So yeah, it's a problem. So is there a villain of similar power set as an adversary for him? There've been a few, and the problem that I have with Moon Knight is that how he's depicted right now in the MCU is not how he is in the comics. Because again, like we said in the last review, he is a lot closer to Batman in terms of his abilities. So there's a lot of people that are on his level in the comics because he's human. He's not. Yes, he's granted, like, he does have a healing ability per se. He does have, he has some skills like fighting ability and things like that through the suit. Plus, he was also a mercenary. Marco Spector was a mercenary. So he has all of his skills from that life. But he was not this like very powerful, like meta-human for lack.
Well, even when they introduced this, like the superpower aspect to his character, I don't know which run it was, but I know they did it. But I know they had done it at one point. And even then, he still wasn't like,
no
Omega level powered and stuff. It was only recently in one of Jason Aaron's Avengers run that they decided, okay, now Mark Spector aka Moon Knight, can just body the entire Avengers, and
which I've always said this. I know you agree with this. Every character is by writer perspective. Some writers will write them a certain way and they'll seem weak and blah, blah, blah. And others, like City of Bane, for instance. City of Bane was very interesting because Batman, a lot of people hated that run because Batman was basically on his own Love Island type reality show with Selena the entire time, most of the time.
Oh yeah,
they were parasailing all kinds of shit.
Opposed with Bane just completely like, yeah, I control Gotham now, and that's pretty much it. At least in Nightfall, Batman had a reason to be away from Gotham for a while.
No, Bruce was living his best life with Catwoman, reminiscing why their marriage didn't go, why she stood him up at the altar and all kind. It was a very reality series run. So same with Moon Knight. You're going to have writers that write him very well. And then you're going to have writers who write him like, for some reason, they think he's like this omnipotent being that can do everything. And it's not. So it's by writer perspective. So it's always going to be that way. Now, if I were going to say somebody who can give him a run for his money in the Marvel universe, like right now, I guess. I'm trying to think if we have, because they haven't technically introduced Punisher in MCU, but they did in the Netflix Defenders version. And technically we are getting some characters like Kingpin, and we do have Daredevil from the Defenders.
I'm pretty sure from what I heard, they were supposed to, it's speculation though, that they're supposed to keep Punisher because he was like, him and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones were like the more successful series, so they might stay and come on over into the MCU. Not 100% on
which
that,
I mean, I hope they do. But I mean, if I'm just gonna speculate or compare from who we know in the Marvel live action universe presently, introduced or not in the MCU, he's a strong cross between Daredevil and Punisher. Daredevil has a little bit more of an edge because of his extra senses, but I mean, again, he doesn't have remarkable powers either. So he's essentially still human, just has very, elevated reflexes.
He's just a really good fighter. That's pretty much what
So
Daredevil.
I would say Daredevil or Punisher would pretty much be on the line. Mark Spector, personality more towards Punisher, but definitely elements of when, for some reason, Daredevil Matt decides, I'm not Catholic this week. I'm going to kill everybody. Intervention time.
I'd be throwing them babies off rooftops. That's what's up.
Yep. I didn't set your bookstore on fire. Lies and speculation. So yeah, that's probably who I would say would be a good adversary. But that's who we know that's introduced in the MCU universe. Now in the Marvel universe, there's tons of characters I can actually compare him to or have an adversary against. But again, it's based on writer perspective. So he's a lot more human in the comics. So that's the thing. I kind of want that big battle of heroes versus villains. I know everybody wants that end game feel. It's not coming. It's not coming.
Probably not.
We'll see what happens in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I'm going to tell you guys, as much as I love Marvel and DC and all my properties, I am more excited for the new Jurassic Park movie than I am for anything coming out comic book wise.
Well, I mean, all it really comes down to, too, is the fact that Endgame really was, I guess you could say, the climax of the whole MCU thing. It was so great. It was a great ride up to that point. But right after that was over, I've effectively checked. I still haven't finished Hawkeye, and I'm only passively watching MCU movies at this point. Like, with Spider-Man No Way Home, I waited till it hit digital,
Yeah, I just bought the 4K Blu-ray. So I got it. So I'm, I had to have that extra content because, I'm a Spider-Man girl. So I had to do it. But no, I get that. I do understand that. Like, it's interesting. Endgame for me, I guess I'm still in my feelings because they're introducing, Warlock right now in Guardians, the new Guardians movie, Guardians 3, when he should have been in Endgame. So it's like, it's something, like I said, the MCU, they're like,
Endgame or Infinity War, take your pick. But I mean,
you had a really good role and, a pretty good role dealing with Thanos in the comics, but I'm just gonna throw you over here in this movie because it's pointless. I'm going to name drop you in the first it was either the end of the first or the end of the second.
It was the end of the second.
End of the second
movie.
But we saw his throne out of his chair. But it's like, but don't worry about it. You don't have to do anything in Endgame. We're just gonna throw you over here. And I'm like, okay. Like, whatever. It is what it is. I really like this episode with the story. It's telling and it's action, but it's just a little bit weak. I think that Mark might have something to do with Layla's father's murder based on Arthur. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, Harrow did imply that Layla doesn't know, does she? Your involvement, mofo.
Yeah, I mean, it really felt like it wasn't even an implication. He practically said it. It was like, you killed her dad. It's going to get revealed at some point, and then Layla's going to hate you, and she's going to sign those divorce papers. But then Steven's going to take control, and he's going to marry Layla instead. Because
that is exactly what it sounded to me.
And she clearly likes Steven a lot more.
What was interesting to me was she brought it up like later. Like she did have a little bit of an opportunity. I know they were like fighting and trying to save each other. And so that's all explainable and understandable. But like it took her a minute to be like, so by the way, what did Harrow mean? I'm so used to like shows and movies where something like that happens and people are like, hold up. I know you're trying to kill me, but hang on a sec. What's he talking about? I'm like, what? She was more like,
yeah, I'm pretty later. Right then and there was like, Harrow, can you elaborate a little bit before we get going with this death battle? Heck, maybe you're gonna say something that's gonna make me come over to your side.
Yeah, I'm like, not today. So yeah, like I said, I was definitely in my feelings I get in my feelings very easily in terms of like plot and writing and character interactions, only because I'm not saying that I'm better than what they're writing. I'm just saying that if you want me to believe this, you need to make it more human and relatable. And you're doing that with the villains because you're like bringing in very powerful or very like sneaky, diabolical villains, and you're making them very human. It's like, I'm a mastermind strategist, except for in this version where I literally just play with my yo-yo and get angry. It's just literally what happens. So like the whole thing with Layla is just interesting to me. I had to put that out there. It is what it is. But yeah, good comment, Terrell. You're absolutely right. Humanity in the last decade, we fought each other over toilet paper and chicken sandwiches among the list of offenses. Oh, you forgot
chicken sandwiches involved in there too?
Yeah, but you also forgot that we still had time.
I remember the toilet paper fiasco. Oh yeah, Popeye chicken sandwiches. That's
but no. We still had time, Joe, in the middle of COVID to argue about a design for a Christmas fucking Starbucks cup. I mean, it was viral. I'm like, people are in their feelings about it. And I'm like, just don't get the damn cup. I mean, what's the problem? Oh Lord. See, this is why I can't be on Twitter. I can't be on Twitter, guys. I can't do Twitter. I have a Twitter account. I hardly post anything at all. I just can't do it.
That means we need to see you on Twitter more.
No, I only go on Twitter because I have a lot of voiceover stuff, and sometimes my auditions are sent through Twitter. I need them to make up their mind about Hulk in terms of physical power.
Twitter hashtags are great to read, though. They're great to read. People,
I am trying to be clear of haterade. Okay, I need them to make up their mind about Hulk in terms of physical power compared to Thor and Captain Marvel. They're not going to do that. First of all, they've already determined. You're saying Thor, Captain Marvel, and Hulk. They've already determined that Captain America is the OP. That's literally what they've done.
Captain Marvel?
Captain America
is the OP?
Is the OP. What? Okay, so what did he pick up that he was not supposed to be able to lift outside of Thor in Endgame?
Are you talking about Mjolnir? Mjolnir?
Yeah.
Captain America?
Captain America. When he was fighting Thanos. You don't remember that?
In the movie?
In Endgame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He picked up Mjolnir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why MCU has decided that Captain America is there. So you know how DC is Golden Boy is Superman? Well, yeah. Captain America is, well, at least I'll say MCU's Golden Boy. So
even when he's in terms of just power set.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he like once that happened, they pretty much determined he was worthy.
For me, I would have said they were presenting more Captain Marvel in that light, because she took a full-on punch to the face from Thanos and didn't even flinch.
I mean, but honestly, though, this is the thing. I don't feel like that's unrealistic in terms of it being Captain Marvel, but I do feel like even in the comics. They made Captain Marvel very real. Even the first Captain America, I mean,
Superman type character. That I would agree with.
Yeah, but like the number one Captain Marvel, Shazam, I kind of feel like
Superman ideologies, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it just really depends if you like Captain Marvel or not. That's always going to be a debate. Hashtag you don't like her. Hashtag you do like her, and then what iteration of Captain Marvel do you like? People are very opinionated. Some actually don't like the character based on the actress. I mean, it is what it is. Honestly, guys, you've been on my channel to know long enough. I don't play those games, and I don't give a shit about any of that. So if I like a character, I like it. If I don't, I don't. And then I just move the hell on. It's usually how it works. But Captain Marvel is not the golden boy because she doesn't have a wee-wee. The golden boy among Thor and Hulk specifically is always going to be Captain America, even though Captain America is not on the list because that is what the MCU has built him up to be. So that is the thing. But in terms of Captain Marvel, in terms of Captain Marvel and Hulk and Thor, I mean, it just depends. Again, it really depends on the writing. This is what happens when you guys are all in the damn writer's room together with your little different series and little different movies, and you don't all collaborate with each other. When you don't collab, then all the shiz gets confusing. And that's basically how that is my theory. That is my belief system is, and I'm sticking to it. So Hawkeye was canceled. Well, we didn't even get a second season or a renew. I'm seeing this happen a lot. I'm actually worried that Falcon and Winter Soldier is next because they also did that with WandaVision. So WandaVision's not going to have another season. We just learned Hawkeye's not.
I feel like that was sort of the thing for the most part, that none of these shows were going to have a second season. They were just more set up for future movies. I mean, Loki obviously is getting a season 2 because they told us they're getting a season 2.
Yeah, but it's just interesting.
I always kind of felt like most of these projects were going to be one-off anyway. I mean, the whole WandaVision thing really was, obviously one of the preludes to the upcoming Doctor Strange movie. Coupled with
they're all connected. I guess the problem that I'm having is then they have this, unless they're going to do a White Vision series. They had him fly off, and so we don't know what happened. And like, so there's like little loose ends that is there, which again, that actually could be addressed later on in future movies.
I was gonna say
but...
they're probably just gonna have him like pop up in the next Avengers movie or something like that, or he might even make an appearance in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just upset that they didn't get a true House of M. And so they're like, if we had gotten another season of WandaVision, maybe this would have been, you know, kind of like following the Doctor Strange movie, and then, you know, whatever else were connected in the universe, and then this is the House of M.
It was Mephisto all along?
Well, okay, we already have that Mephisto is literally Voldemort. He who shall not be seen is what this is called. We have Easter eggs all over the damn place, but we're never gonna freaking see Mephisto. Not gonna happen. Moon Knight versus Elektra in a fight with her powers. He might die. Are we talking like Defenders Elektra or comic book Elektra? There's a difference. Quite frankly, though, I really am down with Defenders Netflix version of Elektra. So I really think in terms of her and him, yeah, he might die. He might die in both versions, actually. He definitely would die in the comics, but I think gets a good shot. Moon Knight might actually be killed by her, you know, in MCU. That's just my opinion. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do like the Defenders version of Elektra and stuff like that. It would definitely be a very interesting fight because obviously she has way more training. Like Mark's definitely an assassin and stuff like that, but Elektra is, you know, it's fucking Elektra. You know,
yeah, he was a mercenary, but yeah, she's got moves. She's got moves he hadn't seen.
She's got moves. So it would definitely be I mean, you put Defenders like TV show Elektra against this version of Mark though with all those superpowers. She might be able to beat him down, but not keep him down because obviously he's just going to keep healing. Like he's practically like in that scene where he was getting stabbed over. That was basically a Wolverine scene where he's just getting like bodied with the spears, and he just like, okay, as soon as I see Layla in trouble, I'm just gonna toss everybody off, and then you know.
Yeah, you can't cancel shows that was classified. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, if they're limited series, you're absolutely true. Yeah. But again, I will say though that I remember hearing talk about them saying that there was possibility for season 2 when WandaVision before they even announced that stuff. So I don't know. I think another thing that they need to do is when they have like these conventions and they have these like, you know, especially when they're like the Zoom panels. They probably should talk to their people before they open their mouth and be like, don't say we're going to have a season 2 because we haven't said we're going to have a season 2. So shush, don't mention anything. And like, they don't normally do that. So that's something I always find interesting.
They were asked and we're sort of on the spot, and it's like, yeah, well, we can't just completely deny the question, I guess. So they're like, maybe, I don't know. I mean, all depends on, of course, all depends on ratings. How those shows were rated and whatnot. And if, you know, Marvel thinks they can get more viewership out of a second season of a show. I mean, you know, Loki's obviously the only one so far that's getting a definitive season 2.
Which, yeah,
I mean, maybe at the end of Moon Knight, episode 6, we'll get a Moon Knight will return in season 2 also.
I wouldn't mind having a sequel to Falcon and Winter Soldier, though. Just another adventure or something else they team up with or whatever.
That would be an interesting. Cool. That would definitely be interesting to follow up on. Because I don't think I've seen anything in the slate for a future movie.
Me either. I mean, eventually they're gonna tie it in now that Sam is going to be.
Yeah.
We haven't seen spoiler, Captain America. You know, because if you haven't seen
I mean, obviously every show, every movie is stepping towards the next Avengers movie. That's eventually going to happen.
Which they're leading to Young Avengers, which is what's actually happening. But like, I know before that we have to have Secret Invasion. And I think the reason that Secret Invasion or Nick Fury's series, I think his series got pushed. Because I really think they're trying to introduce some X-Men before that happens. Because it's going to be very stupid if they have Secret Invasion with no X-Men. I'm sorry. It just, especially without Professor X or anybody else. Which I did see that there was a cameo for Professor X in one of the MCU projects. So that's an interesting thing. Because when they first showed Daredevil and said Daredevil was on the set, you know, or at least Matt, his human persona, was on the set of No Way Home. They were like, nah, you just want, it's the lie, blah, blah, blah. And then sure enough, he was Pete's lawyer. So I don't know. To me, that was kind of cool and very cool because if you know the comics, you know that Peter always went to Matt and looked up to Matt. So I thought that having at least have him as his lawyer in this was actually really cool. I don't know. I like that anyway. It was pretty cool. I'm not a Guardian fan of the MCU. They don't even have any cool powers. They're just kind of like Outlaw Star or One Piece in space. I
kind of like that. I mean, Jax has got some super strength to a degree. Definitely not uber powerful, but I mean, I actually kind of like that about them. They're just that group of misfits in space that just occasionally happen across a baddie, and they're like, okay, well, while we're over here, we can, mop this mess up, whatever.
Well, see, I have my Go Kaiser Henshin phone because I am a huge, I'm saying it again, huge fan.
Cool. Where'd you get that?
You in Japan. We'll talk about that another time. But no, like I feel like that is one of my favorite genres. I love teams in space that are traveling around. I fell in love with that concept, not through Star Trek, because I love Star Trek, but I think Firefly really did it for me. Firefly did it. I was like, okay. So now everything that is like Firefly is like very cool to me. So Outlaw Star is obviously cool with me.
I mean, I think Firefly definitely helped popularize the space Western. That a lot of these shows kind of get their tones from. That's what Guardians of the Galaxy is to me. It's almost like a space Western.
It's like, to me, it has a lot of elements of Go Kaiser, which is interesting if you really think about it. We got a Marvelous, we have a Luca. It's very cool to me.
Maybe they'll be able to morph in the third movie. Who knows? They're gonna get their Mobirates.
That would be awesome. So yeah, but I mean, again, I'm not trying to push my love onto somebody else, but yeah, the reason I love Guardians is because of that, and I love the music. I grew up with Motown music, and I grew up with 80s and 70s tracks.
I will definitely say, growing up reading comics, I've read a few Guardians comics here and there, but that movie was the first time I actually cared about the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, yeah, because they made it cool. James Gunn made it cool. I mean, it is what it is. If they had kept it straight to how the comics were, I still would have been infatuated because it was a space themed show with a team, but it would not have been as cool as it was. So, yeah, that's just me. Yeah, I just saw the news. It just hit my timeline. WandaVision was a dream for second season, but last minute change. But Hawkeye was definitely not given a second season. Not canceled, but not given another order. But Batgirl lives. What? Batgirl is... Wait, what? What? Are you serious? Batgirl or Batwoman?
Well, I know there's the Batgirl show for HBO Max.
Yeah, they just finished filming that, but I didn't think that Batwoman season 4 was actually.
As far as I'm aware, for Batwoman season 4, that show hasn't been renewed yet.
Yeah, neither has Legends of Tomorrow, so we may be losing both of those shows from there.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially since like Discovery's buyout, obviously of Warner Brothers and stuff like that. It's kind of like,
and that's probably why I think they're trying to
get a lot of reorganizing and stuff and repurposing. And
plus, if they're doing Batgirl on HBO Max, they're probably like, we want to actually have our own version of the Bat universe expanded and maybe crossover with TV. Maybe they're trying to do what the MCU is doing, having their stuff reflect instead of what we're seeing on the Arrowverse, actually have more darker stuff. From H. Well,
I mean,
I think DC you can go either way, honestly, but
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, too, it's like I've been so like out of touch with the CW for so long. I wouldn't mind a series of higher budget shows produced for a streaming service.
No, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. It's hard. I just watched the last 2 episodes of The Flash, and it's not that I don't want to review it. Okay, it kind of is, but
It's kind of that, yeah.
Well, it is a little bit.
We'll just say this: lightning rod lightsabers. There you go. It's not as cool as it sounds.
It's just hard, guys. It's just hard. It's very, very hard.
I checked out of that Flash so long ago.
And you're a Flash fan, so I feel really bad for you.
Superhero, for me, bar none. But I cannot even with that show half the time.
Yeah, it's difficult. Maria, what Avenger would your main guest panelist be, including you and River? Wow. Okay. Can it be Young Avenger? Can it be a Young Avenger? Because I honestly, I love Kate Bishop. So it will either be Kate Bishop, I'm lame, America Chavez, because I love America Chavez. I love comic book America Chavez. I'm still on the fence on what's going to happen in Doctor Strange. Can't pass judgment on her yet because I haven't seen her yet. But, she's a lot younger. So it's just, for me, that's my America Chavez is this like sassy, I can have sex with everyone with my eyes type chick. And that just is what it is. But yeah, I think America Chavez would definitely be my panelist with Kate Bishop. I love their banter. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of characters that have been in and out of Avengers that I think would be kind of cool. Monica Rambeau would be cool to have as a panelist. I would love to see the MCU version of her though, because I'd love for her to explain her powers and how she just became completely okay with having them that quick. It was like, oh yeah, I got powers now. Like, cool. Just like, really? That's what we're doing. And for River, so River is not a comic book fan per se. I introduced River to a lot of the comic book world, and so I kind of feel like I got to give River a chance to like catch up before I can say what River would do. I think Blue Marvel would be another really good character to have on. I actually try and incorporate so many characters into a panel. I don't think it would just be Avengers because I'd have to have Silk and all of my loves. Like Spider-Man Noir would have to be on my panel because it's just what it is. I'm a huge X-Men fan, and I definitely would have to have Quanon on there because my girl Revanche, now Psylocke again. Would love to have her go on there talking about how her body was taken over for a long time inappropriately. So that would be really interesting. There's so many. I mean, my panels would be awesome, but they probably come off like Maury Povich. You are not the father of Wolverine. And stop effing every girl in the damn Marvel universe. Not everybody wants you, man. Even though for some reason they do, and it's very strange. But yeah, so that's basically what do you think? Joe, who would you have on your panel in Marvel?
Just a panel? Like
if you had a guest panel, like you had a panelist and it was your guest panelist, who would you be? Who would you pick from Marvel Universe?
List. Like, I would definitely want Tony Stark, Deadpool, Peter Quill, just because the dialogue between those three would be
insane.
Some of the best spoken dialogue of all time. Probably Spider-Man too, because he's pretty quippy. And that's what I'd go. I'd just go try to find like the quippiest people where they could just have the most interesting conversations about nothing.
I agree. Well, if I was going to have like interesting conversations about nothing, then I would have everybody in Krakoa and make it a reality show. Like all of them. Everybody is a reality show.
I mean, that comic's practically a reality show right now anyway.
Pretty much.
Like, you like when the X-Men is just nothing but action? Well, how about Slice of Life X-Men? The Krakoa era where they do fucking nothing.
Yep. Except for when they want to bring people back or get their powers back, then they have these little mini fights to the death. But that's okay. That's just island talk right there. It's just the way it is. Captain America did pick up the hammer and found channel the Thunder God's power. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They made him. He's the MCU's golden boy. That's what he is. That's what he was. I mean,
for a time, like, yeah, I mean, he is effectively like Superman in terms of like their principles and stuff like that. I mean, I wouldn't say he's the most powerful character.
No, but they built him up. Like, I agree with this. We all know Captain America was the Superman of Marvel in terms of the key point moral character. Only because of the release and that, like, I mean, you talk about two characters that were created in reflections of actual wars in history. So, I mean, it makes sense. Like, I remember my dad used to have like comics from Superman that looked like they were line drawn and there were 1 penny. To be fair, my dad was born in the 40s. So, I mean, that makes sense. But like, it's just interesting. Some of the stuff that I used to have, and I say used to because God bless my mother. My mother threw away boxes of my dad's comics that were probably worth millions now. So it's a very sad world. But yeah,
with how those comics were going to go back in the day in terms of value.
Yeah, he had some comics that were so obscure people probably haven't even heard of, and it's just what it was. And but yeah, I know Superman and Captain America were always rival, but Marvel and DC always do that. They always create a character, and then they create one to counteract that character. Not all the time, but a majority of the time. Like, look at like the Flash. And we already know if you go over to Marvel, Quicksilver is the Flash's counterpart. So like that's just what it is. I'm used to that. So yeah, you're absolutely correct. We know that Captain America is the Superman of Marvel and always will be. Even it's just what it is. Based off of how WandaVision ended and the entire foundation that the series was built upon, it doesn't need a second season. I mean, in truth, you and Joe are both correct. It's just, it would have been interesting to see if we got like a White Vision storyline, because I would love to see how they play that out, because whenever you put these characters in another movie, their stories aren't always resolved. It's more like they are a cameo, and it's just like, oh yeah, we dealt with our stuff off screen, just accept it and move the hell on. That's literally what happens. So it'd be nice to see where they were going with the White Vision storyline. But, and then again, I could be wrong. Maybe in like 10 years when they have a Young Avengers movie, we'll see White Vision, a very older version of him again. I mean, you never know. I'm just curious to see what they were going to do. So I love Ralph and was disappointed in the actor. I could have still supported him on The Flash. I need him, to be honest, it's going downhill fast with Star Lab. Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah, not wrong at all. Yes, Terrell, but there was like talk of a second WandaVision season earlier this year, but I guess it got chopped by the higher ups. Yeah, I remember that. They said it at a panel. I do remember that. But like I said, I think it's more of Disney was like, I'm not giving you more money for this.
Yeah, I mean, the second season on most of these shows are going to be speculation. It's going to be like, yeah, we only have, so much of a budget for this quarter, so.
Yeah. There's still room for a complete break with Wanda and an actual House of M like storyline after the Multiverse of Madness, which I hope they do. Again, I would have loved to. I thought a good way around that is for her to say no more magic. Then especially everybody who had a magical ability would lose their power. But I mean, they put sorcerers in. They put people. They like literally just sprinkle Easter eggs of powerful characters and comic book characters in it, and then they just like do nothing with it. So it's like, yeah, it's literally. I was waiting for it. I was waiting for them to just go and say, oh. What's your name? Oh, my name is Logan. Huh. You're pretty hairy. Yeah, I don't shave. And then that's Wolverine. It's just like literally that's it. That's all you effing get. You nothing else. Or something like, yeah, you've got pretty long nails. Oh, I get a Manny. Okay, cool. That is your Easter egg for Wolverine. And that is what the MCU does all of the effing time. They take a reference to a character that and then they throw it in, and then when you think, okay, this is where we're going, they're like, nah. It's always been Agatha all along. Like, you know what? F you.
Well, I mean, I remember when they were, when Darcy and the other guy were talking to, like, the one lady about, yeah, she knows a guy that can, like, build, or she knows a person that can build, like, this really cool vehicle that's going to be able to penetrate the bubble and stuff. I don't think there was a person that did not think they were talking about Reed Richards at the time.
I think like I don't know. Like I said, it's just crazy to me. All of it's crazy. Hawkeye was set up for a future feature movie. It was introducing us to Kate Bishop from the comics. I would be okay with that if we actually got a Clint Barton story. It's interesting to have legacy passed on when you never had legacy explained in the first place. Like it's like he was just there. I think we first saw him in the first Thor movie. Because I remember Thor was coming in.
40.5 minutes about.
Yep. And he was like, do you want me to shoot him? That's literally it. That was his storyline. And so like, okay, Clint, who are you? Like, why do you do the things you do? What made you this way? It's this huge mindfuck. We finally got Black Widow's storyline. And yeah, we know it from the comics. But like we got her retelling of the Marvel Universe or MCU's version of Black Widow.
Yeah.
We never got that with Clint. We never got it. We only have his present life where we learned who he was actually, married to, which I fucking speculated anyway. And then his kids that technically didn't exist in the comics. And that's literally all we need to know about Clint. Clint has a family. When he doesn't have a family, then he becomes very bad, and kills other bad people, and then got his family back and then felt bad about it. That is Clint's story. We have no other story from him. Not that he was an orphan, not that the swordsman was one of the people that trained him, and they made him like a minute, very obscure character that wasn't even connected to him, even though this was like a father figure to him in the comics. Like, it's so much crap. So, like, I get it, but at the same time, if you wanted me to believe that this was Hawkeye's story, give me Hawkeye's story. Give me Kate's shit later, which, by the way, you didn't even get that right. So, I mean, it is a thing. So, it's crazy. It is crazy. Elektra from the movies, I meant the Jennifer version.
Oh, Jennifer Garner Elektra movie? Oh, I try to forget that exists.
Maybe they KO each other at the same time. Yes, me too, Maria. On all the blogs and writers panels, things up a lot. There was talk. I live in that world of news. Yeah, I see a lot of that. Like, I'll miss stuff, but I usually try to keep up when they do like the big panels, and like certain obscure ones kind of come to me, like when they do WizardCon. Whenever you see a comic book, like anybody in the comic book world or MC or anything go to a WizardCon, I pay attention because that's not normally what they do. So like, yeah, I do remember them having talk about WandaVision season 2. And how Elizabeth Olsen was like, oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And it's like, no, you're not. Like, you get nothing. So, it is what it is.
Doctor Strange too in a supporting role.
Yeah, I get Doctor Strange too. Loki is kind of like the rock star of the MCU, total just his own lane and way. I mean, yeah, I can see that. We're gonna get a few more questions because we are 4 minutes over 8:34, and we have another stream coming up at 9. So we're about to end the stream in a second, but let me do a couple more questions and then we are good. I read that there won't be any more Avengers movies for a very long time. It will be a lot of the side teams and solo projects and collabs, but not like any assemble moment for a very long time. Yeah, they capitalize on that. They probably rebuild that universe, but
I'll say we probably won't have a named Avengers movie in a while, but probably just more so like how Captain America: Civil War was called Captain America, but that was effectively an Avengers movie, whether they called it that or not.
Yeah, but I mean, Joe, weren't we talking about Secret Invasion though? That is a huge deal. That crosses a lot of different teams. So, I mean, if they're doing Secret Invasion, which they're supposed to be doing that with Nick Fury's season or series, whenever the hell it comes out, that's not something that's just like a one and done. That is a big deal. So, I don't know. We may not need another Avengers-like movie if we have Secret Invasion, because that's some dark shit right there. So, just saying.
I do like some Secret Invasion and stuff.
Yeah.
So I will say I did feel really bad for Peter Parker in No Way Home when it's just like, yeah, no, I didn't kill Mysterio. Nick Fury knows the truth. Nick Fury's in space. What? Turned out he was talking to a Skrull the whole time.
Yeah. That was funny, actually. Wanda is most likely going to kill a Professor X variant in Multiverse of Madness. Wanda's probably going to kill everybody in Multiverse of Madness.
I remember reading this thing going around where apparently the speculation is she's going to kill Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man in the movie too.
Oh, wow. Look at this. Batwoman, did you just hear about the brand new comic? Yes, Joe told me about it actually originally last week. So they retconned the mistakes in Crisis and fixed some of the plot points. You can't fix stupid. I'm sorry. Unless you can fix the Crisis. It was dumb. I don't care what you retcon. You cannot fix dumb. So no. You can put a Band-Aid on stupid, but it's not fixing it. So no. Bebo was a bigger threat than the Anti-Monitor in Crisis. So yeah.
That's true.
Yep. All right, and let's see here. I'm just randomly picking stuff. I'm sorry. Last question. So who has a stronger healing factor, Wolverine, Deadpool, or Claire Bennett from Heroes? Wow. I don't know. It's between Wolverine and Deadpool because I both have issues of their comics where their bodies were completely ripped apart and their bodies are like literally pulling themselves back.
Well, because I believe Wolverine once remade himself from like a single cell.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. He's been ripped in half by Hulk. He was run over by a steamroller by Punisher, where and had his skin melted off, and the skin started slowly regenerating. And while his skin was regenerating, he was cussing Punisher out. So that's hard. That between Wolverine and Deadpool, that's hard. As for Claire Bennett, you just headshot her. She's fine. She'll die. She will not survive a bullet to the brain.
Well, headshot her, and then you got to stab something like right in the back of her.
Yeah, in the back of her neck. Yeah, but at least we know how to kill her. Wolverine and Deadpool, I mean, again, as Joe said, Wolverine was a damn cell. So, I mean, that's hard. I don't know. I think it's a good tie between Wolverine and Deadpool. That's probably why Deadpool talks so much smack about Logan in the first place in the comic books, but that is a thing. All right, guys, we are at 1 hour and 4 minutes. If I have not and Joe has not answered your questions, please put them in the comment section below so we can look at them later. Also, if you have any other theories, concerns, vents about Moon Knight, episode 3, because I know we kind of did a quick summary, but there really wasn't a lot to talk about. Please put it in the comment section below so we can continue to talk about that too. So at 9 p.m. my time, which is a morning crack dawn, is it at 11 o'clock your time?
It'll be 11 a.m. It's
11 a.m. your time
right now, presently.
Yep. So we are going to be doing our epics from season review and theory video. So if you've not seen it, you probably shouldn't tune in until you do watch it. If you have and you want to talk about a show that is actually really effing cool and a mind fuck.
I've actually been comfortable saying so far my favorite show of 2022.
Yeah, it's up there for me too. It is actually something that's kept us engaged. We started watching. I think you recommended it to us first. We checked out like the first 2 episodes and it just never stopped because we were actually behind.
Because what had happened was we were talking. I had brought it up. You said you hadn't watched it, but it was in your.
It was in the queue. Yeah, I think I saw the trailer for it. Yeah.
And then I think maybe either that night or the very next day you started binging it. So.
Yeah. It is good. And I was lucky enough to binge it when it was 7 episodes posted. So I didn't have to wait because they were released weekly. So I had 7, so I only had to wait for 3 episodes to come out. It's 10 episodes in the season. So yeah, I was like, one after the other. But it is such a good show. We have so many theories and we want to talk about that show. So that's what's happening at 9. So it is now 8:39 my time, so we're about to jump off here, so we at least have 20 minutes of non-talking so before we jump right into another stream. But guys, we love you. Make sure again to go subscribe and like Joe's Geek Show. Make sure to like, and if you haven't subscribed, which you probably have, to this channel. And if it is day for you, have a good day. If it is night for you, have a very good night, and we will see you hopefully in 20 minutes in our next stream. Bye guys.